channel is going international, so I'm moving from Spain to South Korea. Okay, so today's activity, we are going to separate a mixture of acidic and neutral compound by ether extraction. Now we chose ether because ether is chemically inert or unreactive, and because it is very volatile, it makes its removal by distillation very easy. So we are going to use the ether for today's activity. So I'll quickly hand over to La, but before La comes in, let me tell you the acidic compound and the neutral compound. So the benzoic acid is our acidic compound. We are using benzoic acid, and this is our neutral compound, naphthalene. Okay, so I have here with me my naphthalene. So this is my naphthalene. So I'm going to add my benzoic acid to it because it's a mixture. So I'm going to add my benzoic acid to it. I think it's enough, right? I'll cover it. And whilst I do the grinding, Lau will be saying more about the materials and the chemicals we are going to use. Okay.
Viewers, the other chemicals we use for this experiment are we have the ethyl ether. We also have the 3 molar HCl, hydrochloric acid. And we also have 3 molar sodium hydroxide. Then our apparatus for the experiment. I have my funnel here. I'm using my medicine cylinder, my beaker, my conical flask, my wash bottle, and you can also see my petri dish, my separating funnel, the most important apparatus in this experiment. So these are the apparatus and chemicals we are to use for this experiment. So I'll hand over to my senior colleague to take us through the procedure.
Okay, so the next step, I'm to fetch small amounts of the mixture into a beaker. Because we are doing it for demonstration purposes, we are not going to weigh it or measure. But when we are using it in the lab, a specific mass will be given. But because of demonstration, we are just going to fetch any amount of the mixture. So, okay, so I'll add a little bit of that. I think this is enough. So the next step is for us to add our ether, like ethyl ether, and now we do that for us.
So I'm just taking over, viewers. So I'll just measure 25 ml of the ethyl ether. So viewers, that is my 25 ml. I'll pour it directly into my mixture. Then I'll make sure it dissolves faster because the ethyl ether is very volatile, very volatile. See that as soon as it has dissolved, I'll just quickly pour it into my separating funnel. I'll quickly do that. Then viewers, and quickly cock it back because, as I told you earlier on, it's very volatile. Viewers, my next step is I will now measure 20 cm of sodium hydroxide.
Yeah, it has been measured already.
To do the extraction. But viewers, before I do the extraction, let me explain some theoretical aspect of this extraction. Okay. And you can see that sodium hydroxide is aqueous. So viewers, when you are adding 25 cm cube of sodium hydroxide into the organic solution. So this So this is organic solution. You see that because this is aqueous, it will be at the bottom of the separating film. The reason is that the aqueous solution is denser than the organic solution. And as it is passing through, the sodium hydroxide will react with the benzoic acid in the organic solution. So that is the theoretical aspect. So as the sodium hydroxide goes into the separating film, it goes at the bottom of the separating film, and as it goes through the organic layer, it reacts with the benzoic acid.
So what is the name of the salt form?
The salt form here will be sodium benzoate.
Okay.
To form a salt. The salt form here will be what? Sodium benzoate. So that's the salt form. So if I'll just do that, I'll just transfer. So when I transfer, my next step is, you can see that when I get transferred, you can see 2 layers are formed. Yeah, the 2 layers are formed. But viewers, the 2 layers are formed. The reaction has already taken place. But the fact is that, we get spotted directly. It means some aspect will be presumed that some aspect will not react. So we'll now do shaking vigorously just to make sure that the benzoic acid will react with the sodium hydroxide to form our salt. That is the sodium benzoate. So as you are going to do, please let me demonstrate this. Don't just put the cup on it like this and leave it, because when you do that, it can easily be removed. And as you are shaking, pressure is built in the separating funnel, and that might even take the cork away from your hand. So what you do is that if you place the cork, do as if you are going to tighten it small. You see that, so that it cannot be easily removed. And when you are going to shake, make sure your palm is on the cork or the stopper. Then you see how I did. This is how you do, and you shake it vigorously. When you shake for some time, you see that pressure will build into in the separating film. So you release your stopper small, just for the pressure built on the separating film to be freed. You see that you can see some effervescent coming, then you close it back again. Then you do your shaking vigorously. The shaking is vigorous. Then you release the pressure again. But when you are releasing the pressure, please make sure the pointer doesn't point to your colleague, because these are effervescent, these are gases, and they are dangerous to our health. Then you close it back again. Then you release pressure. You see that the pressure now, the pressure built is reducing as you are shaking. So this is my last. You can do it 4 or 5 times just to make sure that the reaction is done well. Then you close it back. Then I'll bring back to my retort stand. I'll bring it back there. Then to make sure that I'll now wait for some few minutes so that the 2 layers will be separated. And the 2 layers that are going to separate, the down one will be your aqueous layer, then the top one will be your organic layer. And the down one being the aqueous layer, that is the salt, that it means that is salt in water. I mean, that is the benzoate, that is sodium benzoate in water. So that is the salt form. It means that is what the down layer is, that aqueous layer. So that is the salt form, sodium benzoate.
So we are going to do 2 extractions. So after draining the aqueous layer, we will repeat the procedure again twice. You can do it more than 2 times. You can do it about 3 times or 4 times. And we are doing just 2. Okay.
So you can see that it has settled.
Yeah.
So I will now quickly drain my aqueous layer. And by draining the aqueous layer, you make sure you remove the cork from the separating film, just to make sure that gravity acts upon it so that it can drain well. So viewers, observe, make sure the organic layer doesn't drain into the beaker.
adding it in drops.
Yeah, now
Alright.
you see that the
Yeah.
organic layer would not
Yeah.
be part. So that is the aqueous layer. So this is our first extraction. And we are doing 2 or 3 extractions because we want to make sure all the benzoic acid in the organic solution, all the benzoic acid in the organic solution have been reacted. That is the main reason. So that we make sure all the benzoic acid in the organic solution will react with the sodium hydroxide. We want to make sure we take it all.
Okay.
So that what will be left will be only left with the neutral compound, that is the naphthalene. That's the main reason why we are doing the extractions 2 or 3, just to make sure that all the benzoic acid have been taken out of the organic solution. So I will now do my second extraction.
Okay.
As I said, when you do that, you close it so that the ether will not evaporate. This is now my second portion of sodium hydroxide. That is 20 ml of the sodium hydroxide. So I'll quickly do that again. Please, this step is the same procedure as I did in the first one. So it means this time you know what I'm about to do. So I'll quickly pour it as I did in the first one. Then I'll cork it back. As I said earlier on, tighten it. Then you do your vigorous shaking. Then you release pressure. Then you close it back. Do your vigorous shaking. Then you release pressure. Then you do again. Then you release pressure. Now I'll do my last one. Release pressure. Then you tighten it back. Then you put it back and make sure the 2 layers separate. And as I said earlier on, the down layer is always the aqueous layer, and the top will be the organic layer.
Okay.
And the down layer, that's what I said earlier on, that is our sodium benzoate in water. So if you separate, I'll just drain it. So viewers, the separation is done. So I'll drain my aqueous layer. I'll drain my aqueous layer, then leave my organic layer. So in the first, you can put, as I said earlier on, you remove this so the gravity will act upon it. Then first you can do it in a faster mode. But when you see that it's getting closer, then you can do it in drops. But now you can do it in a faster mode as I'm doing. You can do it in a faster mode as I'm doing. It's now closer, then you now be closing it small. Then make sure it drops small. You see, that is it. So I've extracted this twice. Now I'll quickly push it back. So now I'll take my aqueous. Then I will now deal with my organic solution now, my organic layer now, because it's very volatile. So it means what is now left is the organic layer containing our neutral compound, that is the naphthalene. So I'll quickly drain the neutral, that is the organic layer containing the neutral compound, that is the naphthalene.
Let me hold it for you.
Madam will do that for me. So that it has been drained. So it means the organic layer containing the naphthalene we just leave it so that that ether will evaporate, leaving our organic layer. So we'll now move forward and move to the next step. The next step. So we're now going to deal with the aqueous layer. And in the aqueous layer, you can remember that we measured 20 ml of sodium hydroxide, and we measured another 20 ml of sodium hydroxide in doing the extraction. So it will just be, we are assuming that approximately we will use about 40 ml of the HCl to make sure it gives a protein to the salt of the sodium benzoate, so that it will turn back to what? Benzoic acid.
Okay.
So now the reason why we're adding HCl is that we are just adding just to make sure that the sodium benzoate will be turned to what? Benzoic acid. Because that is what we need, but we don't need the salt but we need what? Benzoic acid.
Okay.
So we are going to be adding it bit by bit. As we are adding, we'll be testing with our universal litmus paper to make sure that it is acidic. The more it turns acidic, then it means that our aqueous layer has not turned back to what? Benzoic acid. It's no more what? A salt of the benzoic acid, but it's now what? The benzoic acid itself. So madam has already measured small. So
this is 20 ml of
20 ml.
3 molar HCl.
So it means I'll just presume that for the first I can pour all.
Yes.
Then
This is another 20.
so I can pour about maybe partially half of it. Then I'll do the testing.
So we are going to test and see if it is acidic or not. If it is basic, we have to add more of the HCl to it. Okay. It's basic. Now there is a color wheel here. The color wheel here. So this is pH 11. But we don't want that. We want between 1 to 4. So we'll keep adding the HCl till it becomes acidic. Alright.
So I'll add again.
Okay. So if I understand what we are doing, it means that when we add the HCl, now the chlorine will react with the sodium. Then the additional H of the HCl will be given to the benzoate?
Sodium benzoate, yeah.
Sodium benzoate, so that it will come back to the benzoic acid that initially we started with. Oh, okay. Okay. So let me test it again. It's still basic, as you can see, pH 11.
So we still add small, now small.
Okay, so I will need another test paper, universal test paper, to check. It's still basic.
It's still basic, so I'll add.
Okay. So we keep on. Alright.
So you can see it's slightly acidic, and that is what we need.
Yes.
We just want it to be acidic, and it is acidic.
Yeah.
You can see from the.
So this is pH 5. pH 5.
So it's slightly acidic.
Yes, it's acidic. Now the solution is hot. It's very hot. So in order to get our benzoic acid, we need to cool it in an ice.
Yep.
So whilst cooling it, we see that the benzoic acid will precipitate out. Okay, so now we'll get the ice back, then we can start with the cooling. Okay, so our ice bath is ready. So I'm going to cool this in the ice bath to get our benzoic acid. Alright, so I'm going to induce the acid to precipitate out by scratching the bottom of the beaker. Okay. So for the ether extraction, any water insoluble solvent can be used for this practical, but ether is usually the most suitable. Yes, so any water insoluble solvent can be used. Okay, so this is the benzoic acid. Yeah, that is the benzoic acid. Okay, so I think this is okay, it's enough. So you are going to filter this and dry. All right, so now you bring the conical flask. All right, so I'm going to fold the filter paper. Now can you please pour it? All right. So you have to allow it to filter. Now let's come here. This is our neutral compound. So after leaving it for some time, the organic solvent has evaporated. So this is our naphthalene. So from here we weigh this on a analytical balance. So we weigh this to know the mass of the neutral compound that we have separated. So what is here is our benzoic acid. So we are waiting for it to filter. Then we can discard the filtrate and dry the acid in an oven. Okay, so we'll patiently wait for everything to dry. Okay, so it has done filtering. So this is our benzoic acid. So I'll give it to Lad to dry it in the oven. Then we'll come back and show you how it looks like, the final thing.
So,
okay.
Viewers, I'm sending it to the oven to dry. More of it, how to operate the oven. So when I get to the oven, I'll tell you how to operate the oven. So viewers, just wait and look.
Okay.
So viewers, I've gotten to my oven. You can see. So one thing, the first thing I need to do is to on it. I'll on it. Then I'll come and on it here. Then I'll give my sample to my colleague and open my oven. But before you do that, you have to set your temperature to around in between 60 to 100. But me, I'll set mine to 80. I'm setting mine to 80. Then if I pull, you have to pull harder because the oven is not easy. You can see how hard I'm pulling. And I'll place my sample there. Then wait for about 5 minutes. See that it will dry. About 5 minutes, it will dry. So viewers, I've kept my sample. So I'll wait for about 5 minutes so that by 5 minutes it will dry. Then I'll come and take my sample and I'll show you. So viewers, I'm coming back to check whether my sample is dry. My 5 minutes is up. I'll open it. Then I'll pick my sample. Then I'll close my oven back. So viewers, you can see. Oh, my sample is dried. It's well done. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you feel it?
And it's hot too.
My sample is dried.
Yeah.
So viewers, you can see my sample is dried.
Okay, so we are done with the separation, and this is the final result. So this is our naphthalene, and this is our benzoic acid. So we have been able to separate a mixture of acidic and neutral compound. So viewers, That is all about separating a mixture of acidic and neutral compound by ether extraction. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you again in my next video. I'm going to learn more of the South Korean, and I'll be telling you more about it. Okay, so it is bye bye for now. I'm not going to say it in South Korean. I'll keep it for another time. Okay, so enjoy yourself. Bye bye.